So hello everybody, I'm going to be trying out a new series. I'm not sure how often it will come up as a video, but something I have been asked to talk about a lot in the past is matchups between specific carries, between specific heroes, and I want to talk about the Jugg versus Phantom Lancer matchup today. Please comment in the comment section or likes or whatever if you do want more of these types of analysis. But I wanted to start with this one because I believe it is the most commonly misunderstood matchup amongst all carries. I would say the average Dota player would think PL is favored. And I will tell you right now, we already baited you with the thumbnail, but Jugg is, in my opinion, about 70-30, 80-20 favored. I think it's pretty significantly in favor of Jugg.
Banana slam jam.
Certain matchups are pretty straightforward, and if you just look at the hero's abilities, one just kind of just counters the other. PA versus Anti-Mage is a perfect example, where Anti-Mage is good against magical damage, PA is good against right clicks, and both of them right click. So in that case, PA is favored. But Jugg versus PL on paper is a matchup where Jugg can't really kill PL because PL can doppelganger out of Jugg's Omnislash. But at the same time, the way PL kills people is Diffusal. So Diffusal does not do any damage to magic immune targets. So a lot of people don't realize that PL never really kills Jugg either. So we're going to now talk about exactly why this matchup is favored. And I think it's one of those matchups that if you don't understand why it's favored, keep in mind that this is a matchup where, the reason why I feel the way it is, and also why a lot of these high-level players view the same way. My only proof that they view the same way is that I oftentimes see Jugg picked into PL in competitive Dota, is by playing the matchup a bunch of times. It's not exactly a matchup that you can conceptualize. You kind of just have to feel it out. But we're going to talk to you guys about exactly why it is. So first and foremost, Jugg is traditionally a better laner. Meaning that most of his matchups are even to good. There's very few matchups for Jugg where he struggles really hard in the lane. So first and foremost, on average, Jugg's going to have a better lane. So for instance, I love to pick Phantom Lancer into Mars because Mars' spear only hits one target, and it's really hard to ever catch him later, and then it's easy to kite Mars throughout the course of the fight, burn his mana, make him useless. So a lot of PL's counters, or a lot of the heroes' PL counters are actually pretty strong against PL in lane, because Mars does inevitably have 2 AoE spells that affect PL in lane, and almost every offlaner has some way of dealing with this. There are exceptions where it's like the perfect PL game, and PL is going to get off to a really good start, but on average, PL has a weaker laning stage. So I would say it's not uncommon, first and foremost, that this is what the net worth looks like between Jugg and PL. I think this is more pronounced because Nigma has a Pugna position 5, while Team Liquid has a Warlock position 5. So Warlock being a much stronger laner, helping out the Jugg. With this in mind, let's assume that you're going to have probably a 200 to 300 net worth average lead at this stage in the game. That's one factor that makes Jugg good against PL. The second factor is that Jugg is much harder to interfere with than PL is. So if you watch competitive Dota and you watch what happens to both of these heroes, Jugg doesn't get ran at. PL gets ran at, meaning that PL can't really fend for himself early. Once he gets 6, he can kind of individually lane, but it's much easier for a mid laner to walk into a PL's lane and try to kill him than it is for a mid laner like a Puck, for instance, to try to go kill a Jugg. So this is a perfect example of this where, yeah, in your pubs you guys might try to gank the Jugg or whatever, but I'm going to show you ideally why it works the other way and how pro players will do the right thing. So in this case, notice how Liquid's kind of just chilling with 2 heroes bottom, and what ends up happening is that Jugg gets to live in his own little world down here. This is Jugg's life. This is what it looks like for the foreseeable future, and this is going to be PL's life. Let's just compare the two. So notice how he's sitting underneath his tower cowering, getting bullied away by a Mars, getting attention brought to himself by having Kuroki have to help him. Enchantress is already roaming on his lane. I guess it is a 4-position Enchantress. But this is what you're going to see. PL getting dove underneath his tower, while Jugg is just chilling hitting creeps. And this is going to happen a lot. And so here's another hero being brought to PL's lane. Now all of a sudden the mid laner for PL has to come to his lane. And now there are effectively 4 heroes from Team Nigma top. And then this is PL's life. And this is Jugg's life. And you may not trust me. And this is a matchup where it doesn't work this way if people don't exactly know what they're doing. But this is 90% of games between Jugg and PL. Jugg chills in his own little world, farming creeps. And PL gets ran at consistently and most likely loses his tier 1 tower pretty early on. This is something that happens so often that I would consider it expected. Obviously, there are going to be games where it doesn't play out this way. Whether or not, the off lane against PL really fucks up, or whether or not, the Juggernaut dies once or twice in lane on accident. But assuming things go somewhat normal, this is pretty much the game state at 7-8 minutes every time between Jugg and Phantom Lancer. So when I tell you it's a matchup that's favored for Jugg, if something in the game messes up that makes this not happen, then of course, it's going to change a little bit who's favored or not. Notice how Jugg's the one applying tower pressure. So this is another part of Jugg versus PL that makes Jugg favored versus PL. PL in the early game applies virtually no tower pressure. PL will almost always be farming on his side of the map defensively. He'll be clearing out jungle and potentially pushing out a lane. On the other hand, Jugg tends to be playing up in the face of the opponent and pressuring buildings. So because you have one hero, one carry that creates virtually no pressure, and another carry that creates a lot of pressure, and also one carry that's significantly pressurable, meaning you can run at him and gank him, and the other carry who doesn't get ganked really, now all of a sudden the weight being bared on the rest of the team is just way higher. It's much more difficult for Nigma to make the moves they need to make, and it's much easier for Liquid to casually rotate from mid lane on the Tiny and get a kill on the enemy offlaner. So what ends up happening is most of Puck's moves will have to be defensive, and most of Tiny's moves are allowed to be aggressive. And this is going to have a significant impact on the map control aspect of the game. So we're going to go ahead and fast forward. Notice the life PL has. Notice the life Jugg has. So when I'm losing PL games, I talk about it in my PL guide. It's most of the time when you're losing early buildings. And so PL really likes playing against enemy carries who don't take enemy buildings. Some of his good matchups are like Anti-Mage, Ursa, because not only do these heroes have a tough time killing PL, but they also don't outpace PL. But the issue with Jugg is that he outpaces PL. So if you're playing Jugg against Phantom Lancer, I'm not telling you to suicide into buildings, but I want you to know that your hero does this and the opponent hero doesn't, and anytime that's the case in Dota, it's really important that you try to capitalize on it on any way you can. So if I was Jugg here, say the opponent brings 4 heroes, I would probably TP to the PL's lane or TP to mid lane and try to kill that tower if PL's tower wasn't already dead. So this is really important to understand. So next step, we're not going to necessarily see it here. If I see it later on in the game, I really hope we do, from an actual example. But if you're thinking about the way PL and Jugg like to play, from 7 to 15, 20 minutes into the game, they both want to hit creeps, right? That's a big part. But Jugg is much more willing to participate in fights. But most notably, if they're farming creeps on the same part of the map, PL plus another hero, getting ganked for, does not kill Jugg. Think about it. PL contributes virtually nothing to killing Jugg. On the other hand, if Jugg gets a +1, say a Tiny wraps behind the PL and PL's forced to doppel, Jugg can spin on top of him, quickly revealing which one of the illusions is real, and allowing his team to get the nice kill. So it's a map pressure thing. Not only is it these early tier ones, but it's also that PL can't really farm near Jugg comfortably if anybody on Jugg's team is missing. And PL doesn't threaten Jugg, so Jugg can farm comfortably pretty much wherever he wants. So if you want to understand a matchup like this better, you have to understand that dynamic. So if you're a mid laner, you're an off laner, you're a 4-position ganker, and you have Jugg on your team and PL on the other, anytime PL's farming near the Jugg, go kill him. Why not? It's really important. It's something where if you don't abuse it, then the matchup is not favored for Jugg like it's supposed to be. So we're going to keep fast forwarding. So once you've accrued this early map pressure lead on the Jugg side of the map, or on the Jugg's team, notice what ends up happening is PL and Jugg usually play their own defensive part. Because Jugg has no need to TP top and rotate, and he doesn't have Battle Fury yet to farm efficiently Ancients and everything, they both play their own side of the map. So this is a lot of understanding where carries like to play. PL likes to play his own side of the map because he doesn't exert pressure most of the time at this stage because he doesn't have Diffusal yet. And Jugg likes to play bottom if possible because he's not efficient enough to take Ancients yet. And he's a survivable body that can stand in front of his own tier 1, which makes it more difficult for the opponent to ever take a tower. So Jugg just got done spinning a wave all the way up here. And you have to understand the dynamic of map pressure, where Jugg's able to play that far up, while PL has to play back here. So what ends up happening is Jugg's lane gets pushed in against the opponent, with them being forced to respond, while PL is farming his own jungle, defending against the wave getting pushed against his own team. So this map dynamic makes it very difficult to ever take an early objective once the Jugg's team has gotten off to a lead. So if you're a Jugg and you're super survivable, meaning it's really hard for the opponent team to gank you, then once you get like the early 1 or 2 tier 1 towers, don't play top yet until you have Battle Fury. No reason to. Play bottom and make it so that while you're farming up your big item, you can make sure the opponent doesn't get an opening on the map. Because if you swap sides with PL gets this tower, and you just are farming top, it's strictly bad, right? Like, because in both circumstances, you're both farming, but in this circumstance, you're not giving them a tower. So this is an important aspect of how to play Jugg in this matchup. Notice how the rest of Jugg's team isn't really playing towards him unless he sees a gank coming. So it looks like GH is setting up on bottom, so Koikfa's ready to help the Jugg. The biggest part of this dynamic is that Jugg is independent, but if they bring 3 or 4 heroes to gank him, he is like vulnerable. Pretty much every carry is vulnerable to 3 or 4 man ganks. So the way you need to play around the Jugg in this circumstance is that the Jugg gets left alone unless the opponent is clearly trying to make a move on your Jugg. And then you should play with him because he's strong and you can help him. So it's a combination of understanding you don't just sit behind the Jugg for no reason, but if the opponent's going to pressure your Jugg, he's quite capable of defending himself and helping you in the team fight. So you should be ready to help him. So let's then talk about this option on the map. So the thing about Jugg that's so perfect for being bottom like this is that he's ready. The only objective Radiant has is mid, right? So he's playing in a way that he's farming, but he's also playing in a way that he can come to the team fight. And this is a very important concept, that you can contribute much more to early team fights on Jugg than you can on PL. PL doesn't have his defusal yet. Usually this timing comes out around 12 to 15 minutes, but Jugg can participate with no items. This is the biggest part. PL is timing dependent, while Jugg can show up to fights with spin and healing ward and maybe an Omni Slash to like finish somebody off and have significant impact. So let's go ahead and watch Liquid's movement. You're going to see Jugg completely willing to show up to this fight. It's a big part of understanding Jugg that because you're against PL and PL does not threaten you as a carry, if Jugg's against like a Ursa or like a Troll, some carry that might actually be able to bring him down, Jugg's ability to participate in team fights is much less. But because PL does virtually nothing to Jugg, Jugg feels very confident participating in these fights, and especially showing up late to let the opponent cast all their spells like this. Notice how the fight's already broken out. Jugg now shows up late, and he's going to summon that healing ward to help his team. This is a significant impact for a carry to have at this stage in the game. He's going to throw in his Omni Slash, nothing fancy. It doesn't even do anything, it looks like. But notice how PL's coming, but he doesn't have his defusal yet. And just look at the impact that Jugg has, and he's not afraid of anything. And it may be like BSJ, it's like, you know, they used all their spells and stuff. But this is the circumstance where if you're against the Ursas and Trolls and maybe a PA with heavy physical damage, Jugg will never aggressively spin in like this. You're never going to do what iKKE is doing here. There's a reason he is not afraid. So every hero has different counters. Usually PL is countered by like the magic damage nukers, which means he's countered by usually the mid laner or maybe like a support or an off laner, right? He's countered by the utility heroes. On the other hand, Jugg is countered by physical damage, so usually he's either countered by a select few off laners, such as like Slardar and Legion, but he's also countered by the carry. So it's most notable that if Jugg is against PL, he's most likely under very little threat at this stage in the game. And on the other hand, PL really struggles against any magic damage AoE at this stage in the game, which almost every lineup will have. So this stage of the game strictly goes to Jugg. So both heroes were forced to participate. PL shows up with Defusal, which is great. But notice how this PL has a Defusal, and Jugg just doesn't care. It just doesn't care. Because Defusal does absolutely nothing to you when you are mana burned. So a lot of reaction force, pretty good engagement for Liquid, but no like major win one way or the other. And we'll go ahead and move on to the next clip. Pretty commonly, once Jugg gets Battle Fury, he's the one that's going to instigate the map swap. Notice how iKKE is kind of doing whatever he wants in this game, and it's PL's job to mirror him. So if you're a PL player and you're playing against Jugg, if Jugg's not properly pressuring, just know that you don't want to farm the same part of the map as Jugg if you can avoid it. So because iKKE gets the Battle Fury, he now wants to play the top half of the map, and notice how iLTW also mirrors this. Very common. If you watch Pro Dota and you watch matchups, stuff like this plays out the exact same way almost every single game. It's like clockwork. There's a reason why he starts to play top, and there's a reason why the other guy goes bottom, because he went top. So, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward. So, this is the dynamic that works, or that happens almost every single game. So, both teams get pressured to take objectives, because the fact is, if you take top tower as Radiant, then all these camps are open to you, right? It opens up a lot of farm on the map. And same thing if you take this tower, all these camps open to you. Because the PL versus Jugg matchup usually looks like this, where 1 or 2 towers are gone for PL, and no towers are gone for the Jugg team. The PL team feels the need to play around the PL. Notice how both heroes swapped. So Jugg went top, PL went bottom. But usually, PL doesn't want people playing around him when he only has 1 item. He doesn't mind fighting, but he wants to be farming still. Same with Jugg. Both of them get their first item, and they want to be farming. So I will tell you, if you watch Pro Dota, and a lot of high-tier Dota, that Jugg ends up having his game look like this, while PL has his game look like this. Which carry would you rather be? It's really that simple, right? Which carry would you rather be? The guy fighting consistently, or the guy hitting up some freaking creeps on his own little island on the side of the map, right? Happens almost every single Jugg game. So notice how if you're a Jugg, or you have Jugg on your team, he has Battle Fury and he's gone top, that your job is to actually play around bottom. So I want to emphasize, this matchup is not straightforward. It is not like a matchup that you should understand. Like, I wouldn't expect like a 3K or anything, even like a 5K to be able to figure out exactly why Jugg's countered by PL. Or, sorry, PL is countered by Jugg. But I'm hoping to show you guys that this is the, like, recipe of how the game usually goes. And if you're on either team, play into it, right? Like, you have to play into it. This is the optimal way to play. The beauty of taking tier 1 Dota teams as, like, using them as an example is they are going to play around their carries properly. But this is what the game looks like if played around properly. Anytime the PL's team messes up where they don't play towards the PL, invade his triangle and kill him. Anytime Jugg's team plays around him too much and you're the PL team, just go take bottom tower for free. There's ways to abuse this stuff. So yeah, usually the PL's team makes a big move, gets that bottom tower eventually. That's exactly what happens. And notice how Jugg's kind of just living his own little life here. Honestly, makes a huge mistake by just getting Centaur Stomp there. Not much else to say there. Gonna fast forward. I hope you can at least get on the same page as me, and we can agree that the first 15 minutes of the game are heavily Jugg favored. Okay, we've seen a couple slip-ups, we've seen some things that are going to happen in the Dota game, but I hope you can get on the train that the first 15 minutes, heavily Jugg favored. So let's now talk about, let's just watch the game play out here. So, usually there is this timing in the game, assuming that the PL's team does get an early tower or two, where PL is going to be good against Jugg. And the reason why is because PL is much more fight ready with 1 item than Jugg is. It's not that, like, Jugg can't fight right now, but Jugg wants to fight early, there's like first 15 minutes while he's building up towards this Battle Fury, but then once he gets the Battle Fury, he wants to take a bit of a chill pill. So usually the, like, map momentum will go back in favor of PL's team just a little bit, from like 15 to 20, 25 minutes, just because Jugg's now building up his actual items that allow him to contribute to team fights and such. So this is not too uncommon. No matchup is usually 100-0 favored, right? So PL does have a nice window here that you want to capitalize on when you have Diffusal. Notice how he's forced to go like a defensive item because he's against a bunch of AoE magic damage from the Tiny. And now Jugg gets to play a little bit evasively. So if PL was still playing bottom, Jugg would be top. If PL's team's invading top, Jugg TP's bottom. This is a very common dynamic in the matchup as well. But Jugg's got his Yasha. They've got all their ultimates at the ready. And they're going to take a fight. Let's just watch for a sec. So this is something you will commonly see in the Jugg vs PL matchup. And this is not exactly a surprise. I want you to see who focuses what, okay? I want you to see, like, yeah, micKe kind of wasted Omni Slash again, but I want you to see who's attacking who in the fight, okay? So what's PL doing? PL's hitting supports. What's Jugg doing? He's hitting the PL. This may seem like oversimplification, but long story short, Jugg threatens PL. PL does not threaten Jugg. It really is that simple. PL has to use Doppelganger in fights. Once he uses Doppelganger, he has to be afraid of Jugg. But on the other hand, Jugg is not afraid of PL at all, because as long as he has spin available, he often has the Omni Slash available as well to reset. And it's just PL spends the entire fight running away from Jugg. So if you're a PL and you want to learn how to play this fight properly, play away from the Jugg as much as possible. If you're playing Jugg and you want to understand how to play the fight properly, fuck with the PL as much as possible. He shouldn't be hitting you. And if he does hit you, spin. Because the PL will force to doppel, and then you can reveal which one's real just by spinning on top of them. So this is very common. You can capitalize on this on either side. If the Jugg's overcommitting by not playing towards you and threatening you on the PL, you should be able to run rampant on the supports in the backline. If the PL's trying to hit you and you're the Jugg, you can honestly just fight him back. And it's going to be good for you almost every single time at this stage in the game. But once again, that dynamic, Jugg favored. I'll just tell you, when I'm playing PL versus Jugg, it feels like almost every single game, if there's mid-game deaths from one of us in fights, it's always me that dies. It's always me. That's how it feels. Like, obviously, PL is one of the scariest late-game carries in the game, but in the first, like, 20 to 30 minutes of the game, if there's mid-game team fights, I'm almost always the one that dies, if only one of us dies. Very rarely is it the other way around. Okay. This is actually a beautiful case in point. So, usually the PL team... right now, okay, we'll tell you guys what's going on. So, Nigma feels pressure to make an objective happen because Omni Slash is on cooldown as well as Chaotic Golem is on cooldown. And so, that's why they're forcing the fight despite being down a little bit. But now we're going to see a common dynamic of what happens when the PL team tries to focus the Jugg. And if you ask yourself, at this stage in the game, 20 minutes in-ish, if you're playing Jugg, which role on the opponent team often threatens you? Yes, you are correct. It is the carry. So if it is the carry that threatens you, it is his prerogative to be the one that deals damage to you. Okay? So we're now going to see a very common occurrence when Jugg is against PL. So let's see this here. They're going to try to focus the Jugg coming up. Notice how Jugg keeps protecting his supports from illusions. iLTW actually doing a good job of consistently sending illusions at the supports and actually committing onto the other heroes. Notice how iCKe keeps helping out. And this is a coil with the support and core focusing the Jugg. Oftentimes, if this is any other carry, PA, Ursa, Troll, Slark, this Jugg is probably going to die. But, quite frankly, PL just does not dish enough damage this stage in the game to kill Jugg. It really is that simple. You're going to see Jugg barely live. They're going to keep trying to commit onto him. And the PL is taking a lot of damage from external sources. It isn't even the Jugg that's hitting the PL with damage. And because Jugg can spin and get away with impunity against the PL, because all of his damage is diffusal, which doesn't go through magic immunity, Jugg then resets the fight with an Omni Slash, how I mentioned earlier on in this video. And PL takes a large portion of his health and damage. And pretty much what always happens to me when I play PL is we do kill the Jugg if we focus him with 4 heroes, but this is what happens to the rest of us. The rest of the team just cleans you up. It takes a very long time to... Wait, is he really chasing the... Oh, okay. The rest of the team takes so much damage in the midst of killing the Jugg that it ends up being a, 3-for-1, 4-for-1, 4-for-2 trade in favor of the Jugg team. Very common occurrence there. So that tends to be why the PL team does not focus the Jugg. If the Jugg's ever caught out alone, that's obviously a different story, because the only punishing factor is that PL takes a long time to kill Jugg. You do inevitably kill the Jugg. It just takes a very long time. So Jugg and PL, both pretty decent roshers. But I'd say Jugg being the better fighter, he often gets the rosh. It looks like they're actually going to stop hitting the rosh for a bit to use some ultimates. So because Jugg is a really good rosher and so is PL, I want you to remember that if you're PL against Jugg, and so I'm telling you you're in an unfavorable matchup, if Jugg is incorrectly playing the wrong side of the map, he's playing around the bottom half for whatever reason at this stage in the game, and you've got enough items to go kill some rosh, or kill rosh with your items, then punish the Jugg by taking the rosh away from him. Notice how in a competitive match, they understand which objective is really important. Once the tier 1s are down, both carries are pretty good at taking rosh, and they're all playing around it. But if you're in this kind of matchup, then you can realize that rosh is an objective that usually gets taken around this stage in the game, and you can just yoink it if the Jugg's team is not ready, or the PL's team isn't ready, either way. So notice the way these fights always go down. It's Jugg clearing out PL illusions and PL being forced to ignore Jugg. It's every single fight. And not only that, but Jugg does a pretty good job of saving his teammates by protecting them by killing the illusions, but also having the healing ward in the back. PL's decent because you can clear the healing ward with an illusion, but it's not usually as simple as it appears, and you're oftentimes focusing someone else. He is going to kill the healing ward, but notice how little damage PL is doing to the rest of Jugg's team, purely based on the fact that Jugg's eliminating a lot of his illusions. Notice how he's spinning on top of his own teammate. PL's forced to disengage. This is something where, yes, PL can get kills, absolutely fine, but if you've ever played PL, some of the hardest games are ones where you don't kill the enemy fast enough. You don't really protect your teammates as PL, and your job is to kind of pick on the backlines, and Jugg makes that really difficult. Jugg makes it really hard for PL to execute teamfights the way he wants to. So it does work out. They do get a kill there. Looks like they want to keep fighting. And just look how Jugg feels when he's against PL. PL doppelgangers in, and now he has to run away. Jugg spinning on top of the PL. This gets even worse if the Jugg has a shard. And this is a situation where if Liquid doesn't, if Team Nigma doesn't like win a fight in the near future, it just gets worse and worse. So this matchup gets worse and worse for PL as Jugg gets more items. And the thing about Jugg is, because you have no threat coming out from the enemy carry, there's virtually no physical damage against you, you can itemize like this. Look at his items. He's got a Battle Fury and a Maelstrom. Name another carry matchup where Jugg feels really comfortable going Battle Fury and Maelstrom. There really isn't one. Most other carries do enough physical damage that Jugg has to build like a Scotty, or a Butterfly, or a Basher, or an Ags. But in this case, he gets to go 2 farming items that both deal with PL. Hasn't even gone for the Ag Shard yet. And the thing about this dynamic, I kind of want to wrap up the video here, because from this moment on, the game kind of can go a lot of different ways. Is the matchup doesn't exactly get better for PL. This dynamic that I'm showing you where PL can't kill Jugg and PL tries to kill the rest of Jugg's team and Jugg spins on top of the PL and hits the PL illusions, this never really changes. Your job as Jugg in the fights is to follow this kind of script where you prevent the PL from killing your team. If you're like running in the backlines trying to kill supports and PL's killing your supports, you're probably losing out. Jugg's meant to kind of clump up with his team, prevent the PL from being able to like run rampant on the supports who can't deal with the illusions. This doesn't change. There's really no itemization that PL can go that inevitably threatens Jugg. Yes, you can go stuff like Scotty. Yes, you can go Abyssal, but your damage is like underwhelming even though you can hit him during his BKB. It never really changes. On the other hand, Jugg can go for Mjolnirs. He can go for Ag Shard. And the thing is that you have to defend yourself with Doppelganger against Jugg. Otherwise, you're actually pretty vulnerable to the Omni Slash. And even if you Doppelganger, once he has the Ag Shard and the level 20 Blade Fury DPS talent, you're actually getting your illusions shredded. And he'll oftentimes be able to distinguish which one is real, and the rest of his team can be able to capitalize on it. Most notably, because the carry isn't threatened by you and can prevent you from threatening his teammates, you're not able to get that like early pickoff with the PL illusions. You're not able to poke people down, because PL often relies on poking people down, such that by the time the fight starts, they're all missing like half HP or a third HP, something like that. And Jugg with the healing ward completely counters this entire concept. So the fights never get better for for PL. And even though, yes, I'm talking like PL can absolutely beat Jugg in any game, like it's favored for Jugg, it doesn't mean Jugg's going to win every single time. This is a matchup that I believe is heavily favored in terms of Jugg, in terms of every single dynamic of the game. The way team fights play out, the way the early game laning and pressure plays out, the way the map farming plays out, and also just the way the heroes scale to kill each other. Jugg will eventually kill PL, while PL can never itemize to kill the Jugg. On top of that, when Jugg is going high ground, the way that PL stops people from going high ground is by lancing them down, harassing them, and burning their mana. Jugg with spin and healing ward prevents that entire dynamic and usually is very good at taking high ground against PL. On the other hand, when PL's hitting high ground, Jugg can usually just walk up and spin, clear the PL away, and do that on a super low cooldown. So every dynamic of the game favors Jugg, and I think is commonly misunderstood. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of like a initial attempt at starting a new series. Let me know if you guys like it. If I see opportunities to go into more in-depth analysis of specific matchups, I will. And hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that shenanigans, because at the end of the day, YouTube does care about that. You may not care about it, I may not care about it, but the YouTube algorithm does. So please do.